Giacomo's. Sal, he's the man. Giacomo's Italian Market. We had him on the podcast. We're doing a pop-up together. I don't know if I've met anyone who as real as Sal. He hugs me every time I see him. I love Sal. And you know what else I love about him? His food. His food is fantastic. It's an Italian market right over there on College Hill. He's got sausages. He's got his own soda now. There's pasta, there's the rice balls. There is so much stuff over there that is just unique and special. And then you got the menu. The breakfast sandwich I was lucky enough to have, that's killer. The sausage sandwich is killer. The sausage itself is killer. The cheesesteak is killer. Giacomo's is such a unique thing to this area, and I'm so happy it's like 10 minutes from the studio. But Giacomo's, man, they are on... 700 Cattell Street in Easton, College Hill, and you can go to giacomositalianmarket.com. I cannot wait to do more things with him. I'm selling his sausage sandwich called the G-Spot. We're doing that on our pop-ups. So that is Giacomo's Italian Market. Please go check them out. Love them to death. They are a new sponsor, and thank you so much for sponsoring the show. Mindleaf CBD. I'm a lot calmer with this read. You know why? Because I'm using these products from Mindleaf. Liz came on the show multiple times. Awesome story on how she got into this. They are making all their products. We got the barbecue pretzels. The pretzels are fire. The tinctures, those are my big thing that I use. I go to sleep with those. The tinctures knock this groundhog out every time I go to bed. The CBD gummies are great, and the Delta 8s. The Delta 8s are fantastic. They'll put you on the moon. I enjoy that. Seriously though, this is a fantastic CBD product. I stand behind it. I got to use all of their stuff, and it is 100% the go-to thing I use now for joint pain, for going to sleep. The snacks are awesome as well. It's just an added bonus. I'll go over to the store and pick those up. Liz is one of a kind. You can follow their social media, Mindleaf CBD, and then it's mindleafcbd.com that you can order all their stuff online. So if you're not local to the area, if you are local, I suggest you go over to the shop. They have a really cool shop over on College Hill. It's actually close to Giacomo's, which is another sponsor. But that's Mindleaf CBD. Get your tinctures, get your Delta 8s, get your gummies, get all of your CBD needs from Mindleaf. We're doing pop-ups and things together as well. So follow their social media. We are connecting them into the network. So go support them because they support me. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you. fiveanddimeeaston.com. They have their website officially up. You can shop most of their stuff online. They also have Fucked. They have Fucked in the store. I think they're the only one allowed to sell Fucked out of their store. It's 484-544-4719. That's at 5 and Dime Easton on social media. These guys are great. I mean, they're killing it. It's the best skate shop, in my opinion, in the area. They have a lot of cool stuff there. Both the owners are rad. I stop in when I can. They're open Monday through Friday, 11 to 7, Saturday, 10 to 7, and Sunday, 11 to 5. There is someone always there to help you out with your needs. You can check their inventory off the website. You can check out some videos they got on there, and they're doing some cool things. Their social media is awesome. They support a lot of local skaters in the area, and they're growing. I'm excited to be a part of them growing. I'm excited to help them out. They're helping me out. It's a good relationship, and I push 5 and Dime Easton because they're the best skate shop in the area. Check them out. BTG Blasting. My man, Pat Cunningham, offering you pressure washing, disinfecting, acid washing, and rust removal. It is a high pressure washing business, bringing your stuff back to glory. He does anything from houses all the way to having him come into the studio. He comes down to the studio on a schedule and he disinfects the studio, and we are certifiably clean, and it just covers all the bases. So with the things that are going on now, you're going to need somebody like this. He's got a sticker out front. I am certifiably clean down here. He also offers free estimates on all your needs. He can do corporate and at home. You can reach him at 484-241-1711 and btgblasting@gmail.com. He just started this business and it is taking off. I'm super excited for him, and I'm super excited that he's a sponsor of the show. And you can check out BTG Blasting on social media for all of your pressure washing, disinfecting, acid wash, and rust removal needs. It's high pressure washing, bringing your stuff back to glory. He offers many things, and you need to check him out. Eric K. Dowdle, defense attorney. We had him on the show, and what crazy stories this guy's had. He's helped a ton of people over the years, and if you're looking for help, he is your guy. You can contact them at 610-882-3000, and it's ekdefense.com. Do you have a pending court case? Do you have a court appearance and need a defense lawyer? Do you need proper representation? Felony, misdemeanor, drug offense, assault, homicide, DUI, traffic violation, appeals. Reach out to Eric. Check out the podcast we did with him as well. It has his whole story on there. If you need help, Eric is here to help you. He sponsors the show. We appreciate it. He's going to be doing a monthly thing with us. Eric will be a part of the family now. Thank you for sponsoring. All right, I'm going to set the timer for 45. We'll probably go a little bit over, but I'm not going to keep you here all day. I don't even know what episode this is. We're live. That's how we do it. That's how we do it. That's how we do it here. What's up, man? How are you?
Chilling, man. Same old chilling.
I've been pulling the guy. Well, we wanted to do this. Well, shit, because I took private kickboxing lessons from you till I fucked my knee up.
Yeah.
And we were going to do this then. That was like, what, last winter? That's how long ago that was? Jesus Christ, dude. And you... I never kickboxed before. I've never done anything like that. You made it awesome. You pushed me. It was exactly what I wanted. And then I feel like we were becoming friends, and we are friends now.
Yeah.
And you're just a very unique person, and we had a lot of cool conversations. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to bring him on the podcast.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I like being here. Yeah.
How did you get started in martial arts, or where did this all begin for you before you even went to finishers?
I've always been into martial arts since I've been a kid. This is gonna be goofy, but you remember the Blade movies?
Yeah.
With Wesley Snipes?
Yeah.
When I seen that black man moving like that, I was like, I could be that. Mm-hmm. So I from those Blade movies, I was like, yo, I like this. And really it started like me officially doing something combative.
Yeah.
Started with wrestling.
Yeah.
So I started wrestling in high school. I was like, I won't really be into that. This is just to get to MMA. And then I fell in love with wrestling.
Wrestling? You wrestled for a while?
Yeah, I wrestled from like freshman year to college. I did not enjoy the college experience, but I wrestled from then, and I loved it. And it's just a different grind. It's just, it's super unique. You know?
I think I would have. I didn't get into wrestling in high school. I did. What did I do? I played baseball, football.
Nice.
My dad was was a good athlete. Actually, was a great athlete. He was all state football for Peaburg, and so there was always that in the boys. We always were just athletic. And then let's see. I think once high school hit, I stopped getting into. I started skateboarding and smoking weed, and then that's just where I went. But looking at things that I wish I would have done, I wish I would have played high school football just to see what it would have been like, and I wish I would have got into wrestling. My little brother got into wrestling, and he was good at it. Well, his my one buddy Kevin Patton, he wrestled for Notre Dame, and he was really fucking talented. Yeah. And his dad coached, and Mr. Fenton were friends, so the three of them like worked with my brother and like brought him up to speed. But it was cool going to watch him win, and he was in fucking shape. But like the grind and like what I got out of like playing, like doing double sessions, Clipper football and stuff. Like I always bring that up to Jesse, where like that is embedded in me to push myself further in life now because of what I did when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So I look at like how I didn't have a problem. I hated football practice, but like wrestling would have been like a very similar, like that just grind out, fucking you go in there till you're dead. I wish I would have wrestled.
It gives you that, and that's one thing my coach used to always say. Like, he's like, it's not about the matches. He's like, wrestling just helps you for life. Yeah. And when I was younger, I'm like, man, I'm trying to win. Fuck all that.
Yeah, it's like people who are like, why would I need math later in life? And then now I'm running a business, and I'm like, fuck.
Yeah. You're like, oh, I should have paid attention. Yeah, that's how it is with wrestling. Like, you do it, and you're like, I just want to win. And then you get older, and you go, wow, that mental toughness. There's times where I look at other people, and I see them, and I'm like, I think I'm pretty soft. And I look at other people and I'm like, wow, you're a fucking pussy. You're soft. Like, you should have wrestled when you're younger. Like, you have no grit. You got no determination. And
it makes me sound old, but I look at the kids coming up now, and it's like, you know, like we played video games, but it isn't like it is now. Like we had to like go out and ride bike and do shit. Like we played flag football where like, you know, you're getting the older kids you're giving you fucking nosebleeds and like, you know what I mean? Like a lot of shit went in those backyards where like, you know, I didn't go and tell my parents that, you know, I got roughed up. Like you just hit them harder back. Yeah. And like, I feel like that, like looking at some of these kids coming up and it's just like, you know, it's like they're so nerfed. Yeah. Like it's just a nerf. I don't know, man. It's different, but my dad said that shit about me when I was coming up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird. I mean, I always liked the high school sports and shit like that, or not even high school, but the other sports and shit. Like it definitely paid off later in life.
Hell yeah, yeah. I think it does. I think that's the real importance of sports. Like it's not even just the win. It's just. I think it teaches people how to be disciplined. You go after something, even if you lost. And I think you can tell people who didn't play sports because they don't have that. Yeah. Like you can see when they hit a wall and their mind's like, oh, I guess that wall means I shouldn't keep going. It's like, that's not what that wall means.
Yeah, we had practice all the time. And then Saturdays we would have double sessions and like they didn't go light on us at all. and you know, and I think and then now looking back at my parents, like they just wanted us to be tired. You know what I mean?
Oh, like, yeah, so you don't do stupid shit.
We were like probably like 13, 15, whatever. But that is one thing that I wish I would have, especially seeing with what Zach and JM have done, but like having that discipline at a young age, I wish I would have got into martial arts or going to a gym like Tiger Showman or something like that instead of doing baseball. Like I think I would have, like, it would have clicked earlier.
You didn't like, you feel like you didn't learn nothing from the baseball?
I was always on a shitty team. We lost a lot. Okay. Yeah, I learned how to be depressed. It helped me out for relationships later in life.
Okay.
No, I liked baseball when I was on 2 teams. So like I would be, and I was decent at baseball. I was a catcher. My great grandfather was a catcher. So like I was proud to be a catcher. Yeah. Like it was because I was like, I'm on the fucking field. I'm not out in the outfield picking my fucking nose waiting to drop a fly ball. Like you had to pay attention. So like when the one year I was with the kids who were better. So it was like the older kids. And when I was on that team, like the coach was like, you know, like was like, we are winning the whole thing. And I'm just like, whoa. So like that I felt left out at. And then when I played when I was the older kid and the younger kids were coming up, and then I was like, they were like, hey, we would like you to like lead the team and have direction. And like, you know, I batted fourth because I was like the better player because I was older. Like that's when I had fun. And then it was like the coach was more relaxed. It wasn't like we got yelled at on the first one. And then with the second guy, he just wanted us to get together and just play baseball. Yeah. And when we played baseball, I had a blast and enjoyed it. When we were trying to win a World Series when I was 12, I didn't like that at all. Yeah. So like there is things I got from baseball, like, because like I would sit on the bench with that team. We went to the playoffs with the other team. So, like, I remember I liked it then and I hated it. I liked football more. Football was fun. I was center. So, like, and then when it got to high school, like I said, it was just too many kids. And then, you know, just, I don't know. And then I just started skating. And when I started skating, I think I was just appealed to that more because it isn't like it is now. There was like 4 or 5 kids. Yeah. And then we would just go around town and skate. And then we would just do that. Or I would hang out with my friends who were BMXing. And then that's kind of like what I was doing. What did you do?
I was actually skating when I was in middle school too. Yeah. I think I liked it because I feel like with skating, like it's like you're like the rejected type of people, and it makes you feel good, and you click with other people like that. But then I got away from it and started wrestling more, which then it was like weird because I feel like my personality doesn't match like the things I do because I really feel like I'm like introverted, nerdy. But then it's like I like to fight and stuff, so it's like I really feel like I'm still that skater kid. But I just learned how to defend myself. So it's like really, but I like it. I think I'm definitely way more humble being that like rejected type of kid than being that like cocky kid who was on this team and then I wrestled and then I'm like think I'm the shit. Like I still like skating, but it's way more mainstream now.
Yeah, it went super mainstream. Back in the day, like you know, we would go down to the different areas. There wasn't a skate park. There you know, it was few and far between. You know, there was no social media. So like my brother had a ramp in our backyard growing up, and then like people from New Jersey were driving to, you know, they were driving out of state to come here because there was only one person in the area at that time with a skate. My parents fucking hated it. Like, we'd wake up on a Saturday and there'd be kids walking across the backyard and we wouldn't even know who they were.
Oh,
yeah. But it was like, but they would take the risk, or they'd come up and be like, hey, sometimes they were normal and they'd ring the doorbell. Hey, I know Henry, we met over at, this other ramp, and is it okay if we skate here today? But then there was kids that came, and then I think somebody stole something, and then that was it. My dad just tore the whole thing down and like built a tree fort. But yeah, my parents were cool. And then like back then it was like, it wasn't an accepted thing.
Yeah.
My brother and his friends were like the outcast. There was cliques back then. I feel like it's not like that anymore. Like Lil Wayne changed a lot of shit where he brought that in with rap. And then now it's like everybody's a bunch of different people together instead of being like, well, that's the football player. Like, that's the skater. Yeah. Like, I didn't realize how bad it was till when I went to Notre Dame. I became friends with my buddy Natamato, who was the high school. He was the captain of the football team and captain of the basketball team. Now, if we were in public school, I would know what he looks like just from the way he dresses, and we would never talk to each other.
Yeah.
But because we were all in uniform, it broke down. I never understood what uniforms were for until I went over there and became friends with people that we would never have talked. And then, like, he showed up to my pop-up last week. I gave him the biggest hug ever. Like, we're best friends, but, like, I would have never talked to him in public school.
Oh, that makes
He was
so
the captain
much
of the
sense.
football team.
Yeah. I never thought about that.
But, like,
either.
back then, it was so divided where, like, we would get fucking stopped by the police, all that shit. Now it's like, you can go skateboard. Now it's a means of transportation. It was in the Olympics this year.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. How was it when you were in high school?
I definitely don't think it's as bad as when you were growing up.
No, but it was just super divided.
Yeah, it definitely was still like, oh, there's that kid putting his skateboard in his locker. Like, he's a loner. Like, oh, that kid who skates to school, he's a little bit weird.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel like now it's like, because like you said, it's in the Olympics now. It's like people are like, oh, skating's pretty cool. It's the same thing with like anime. Like back then, if you watch anime, you were a fucking weirdo.
Yeah.
Oh, you watch anime? That's a little bit weird.
Because back then it's like we would get into like Akira and that was, you would have to get like VHSs and like you would have to go to the mall. Like I think it was like Suncoast Video. Like it wasn't like you can't order shit like it is now. Like you had to search it out, or you had to go to like a fucking flea market and somebody would be a vendor. Like it was like something that wasn't normal to get into. Now it's like the way everything's all connected. Like. And what's funny is I'm now seeing like anime become like super mainstream and be totally acceptable to do and like to watch and like, and then there's the fucking Comic-Cons and conventions and all that shit.
Super mainstream.
So you were into anime?
Oh, yeah, I still am. I love that shit. Yeah. I was really just a nerd. Like the way I am now is so like, if you had high school artists and you were like, hey, we want you to do a podcast. I would have been like this. I would have my glasses on like this to the side. Hair would not been done. I would have been like, yeah, I'm glad to be here. That's how it had been. Yeah.
So when did everything switch over? When you started doing, what did you start doing first?
Oh, wrestling.
And then what was after that?
Right after wrestling, I wrestled in college. I did not enjoy that. It just wasn't a good like you said. It
was too high, like not too high level, but it was too much. Like you weren't wrestling. It was you just competing at a super high level, or why didn't you like it?
I didn't, because the coach.
Yeah. Bad coach is the worst. The worst.
Just terrible.
Yeah.
He was a terrible coach. There was times where like this is dumb. I don't recommend anyone doing this, but I loved wrestling so much. Like, I'd have to go to classes, but in college, it doesn't fucking matter. You don't go to class, you got to make up the work. So I would just go to practice before going to class, and he just was not a good coach.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it just started sucking the fun out of it. And I was just like, dude, I was getting, I only had wrestled since high school. So I was wrestling people who had wrestled since they've been a kid. So I'm out there getting my ass whooped, which never really bothered me. But it's like, what bothers you is like when you don't have a coach guiding you.
Yeah.
And it was just like, like it turned me off. And then I left college, and then that's when I started doing. It was like I was still finding myself a few years after serving, which was fucking terrible. After doing that, and then like realizing
military.
Restaurants, like being a waiter. Hell no.
Thank you for your service.
I wish that's how I felt serving.
So what did you do? Did you cook or did you wait tables?
Yeah, wait tables, and that
both sides suck. Both sides suck.
Well, that's why like now, if I met someone, like, I can't be friends with someone who treats a waiter like trash. Like, if I look over and I see a tip is like, I will not
I've said stuff to my mom when we were like, especially when I first started cooking, like, I cooked at I think the longest stretch I did was like 5 years I cooked straight.
Yeah.
So like we would be out and my mom would be like, what's taking so long? Or even now, like when someone's like, hey, it's been a while, and I'll just be like, yeah, but like right now there's probably 100 tickets back there.
Yes.
They're trying to communicate with the waiters and wait staff, and then they're making your food. They're like, there's probably somebody who's hungover and didn't show up to work.
Yep.
Or there's somebody that's about to get fired and hasn't been pulling his own weight, or that person got fired and now they're training somebody new.
Yep.
And then that happens every 2 months.
Yeah.
And then it's just like a total shit show. And I've worked a bunch of different places and it's the same thing everywhere. But yeah, when I go out, like I feel like people should have to work in that industry for like 6 months before they're allowed to go to a restaurant.
Oh my God. Me and one of my best friends, like he was my, when I worked at the Melting Pot, he was
I was
the
going to
manager.
ask where you worked.
Yeah, I worked at the Melting Pot first, right? And he was the manager there. And now
how was that?
It was.
Because that's just like what? It's like they
fondue.
put like the fondue shit.
It was.
Probably always girls there though.
Always girls, but it was like, it was definitely a lot of money. But it would just be like when you had to make like 5 cheeses, it is so fucking stressful. You're like, oh my God. And if you mess up the ingredient or you put too much water.
The stress is fucking, you can't even explain it to someone when you have that kind of pressure and everything's got to go out and you know how long everything takes and you know that you can't do it in the time that you're given. And then you got somebody being like, get it done.
Yeah. Yeah, like get it done or you're getting fired. Or even if the manager's understanding, you might have a customer that's like, where's my shit at?
Yeah,
Is this your first time
or just someone who's an asshole and they just want to like be a dick because their girlfriend's there, or if it's somebody just having a bad day, they want to take it out on you.
It's fucking, oh my God, that's the most ridiculous thing. Like, people go out because they hate their life and they're like, this person needs my money, so I'm gonna make them dance like a monkey. And it's like, I couldn't deal with it. It
sucks. I'm terrible with front of the house. I had to work front of the house when I worked at Easton. And I was like the man, like, because a friend of mine got me the job, and then he left, and then I took his place managing. But it was like an open kitchen style, which I hate that. Where like they watch you cook. Like that's the worst. It's the worst idea ever.
Yeah.
Because you can't even like be yourself, and then like you gotta wear like a uniform, and I'm like, dude, it's fucking. I sweat all the time. Now you're making me wear fucking coats and pants, and fucking hats, and I'm like, dude, this is I'm selling a cheesesteak, not a fucking goddamn. I'm not opening the door to a hotel. When I worked up there, I got into it with a couple people, especially like if they would be talking shit towards, like we had a new kid, Josh, and we had to like train him on the fryer and the flat top. And then like he would do the register because we would never be able to get a register person. So he would be like doing 3 jobs and then trying to do the register. And then people would be like giving him shit because he's a kid and they just want to yell at somebody. And I'd stop what I'm doing and be like, yo, man, like, don't fucking talk to him like that. My boss is like, dude, you can't talk to people like that. And I'm like, why is it okay for him to talk to us like that?
They never have a reason.
Yeah, we're the one providing the food. It's like, why do we gotta get treated like shit?
Yeah, I never.
I love seeing those videos where finally like the fucking McDonald's employees snap and they just fuck dudes up and like that they jump over the thing and they're just like, bam, because they like talked about it on their smoke break. Like, some motherfucker comes across that, we're fucking them up. There's like dudes hitting them with a phone and a mop and shit. Favorite videos. And I always loved Bar Rescue because it was always like shitty owners being put in place for like not treating them. Where else did you work besides Melting Pot? Was that the only place serving?
I did. I worked at the Copperhead Grill.
How was that? That's a big fucking place, man. That's a lot of people too.
It's a lot of people. That's when the Copperhead Grill is what finally broke me. Yeah, because honestly, not to shit on nobody, the owner's super like he's just super peculiar with shit, and it's just annoying. Like you could do your job super fantastic, and he's like, "Well, you didn't pick up that water fast enough," and then I was like, "Fucking sheesh." Yeah,
it's like always having like criticism. Yeah, and I know why people do that because I mean, but like I worked over at Two Rivers and
okay,
and I didn't get along with the lady. I got along with her, but then when she was trying to train me by like breaking me and building me back up, and I'm like, I'm 37, like I don't need that. I'm like, you can just tell me what you need done, and I get it with the 20-year-old, but like you don't need to do that.
Yeah, like I need the money.
Yeah, but like you know what I mean. Like, but if he doesn't need to keep telling you what needs to be fixed. You already know what the fuck you're doing, so take that bullshit to somebody who needs it.
Yeah.
And that was why I left Two Rivers. I was just like, I'm like, I don't really need to go through all that. Like, but that's what you learn when you get older is like, you don't need to, I look at how I worked as a manager, and then like I'm like, all right, I see what she's doing, but like I don't need this. Like,
I don't need to do that.
That's every day is like I come in here and then you put me down, and then I got to work harder to get your opinion back up, and you know what I mean? Like that's what they want to do. And then essentially then they just have built their version of themselves in you, and I'm like, I don't need to do that shit, bro.
Yeah, I feel like
a lot of people do that in the restaurant industry.
Yeah, I don't and. It's. I feel like it's a young man's, young person's job. Like you're young, maybe you just. And need
I
quick
only know
money.
that because everybody looks like they're 12 now when I go to a bar.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, these are kids.
Some of the people that are serving you probably can't even drink themselves.
No.
They're in college.
Yeah,
they need quick money. And it's like that's the.
I went over to PJ Willahan's. I never felt older. I was like, oh my god.
Oh yeah, it's
like,
they're all like
20, who are these children?
Yeah, they're 20, 21. That's it. No, when you get older, you're not working that job. You're not letting someone tell you, hey, dude, you need to fucking pick it up and bring this fucking Sprite to this person. It's like, dude, I will slap this shit out of you. I'm over this.
So what'd you do after? I mean, did you have a plan, or you were like, fuck it, I'm done serving?
This was the story that broke me. I never forget. I was like, you remember you'd have to take out a hot ass plate.
Yeah.
And you're holding this shit in your hand, right? I'll never forget this old dude because I wanted to fuck him up. You're holding this hot plate in your hand. The dude has his hands on the fucking table. It's like, dude, I'm putting your food down. Move your hands. He would not move his hands. He's like, oh, that's my food. I'm like, yeah, and my finger's burning. So I had to do the best to move it. The tiniest little plate nipped him, and he just freaked. That nipped me! And I remember in my mind, I just thought, I was like, I could follow this dude to his car, and I could end his life. Like, I could just put on a mask and break his arm.
Yeah, but when you start thinking stuff like that, it's not good.
Oh, yeah, and I had that thought. So I had that thought. I did my kickboxing bout. I won that kickboxing bout, and I remember after winning, I thought, this is what I want to do the rest of my life. I don't.
So you were kickboxing while you were still. When did you get into kickboxing?
I got into it around when I was at the Copperhead Grill. Just started. Really, what was going on was being you probably know being a young man. You think life's all about women and stuff, and that's what I was when I was younger. Getting money. Oh, I need to have a girlfriend. I need to have this. And then I was doing that.
It's weird looking back on it now, because now that you said that, I was so concerned with getting a nice car and putting a stereo system in it, and then going on dates and doing all this stuff and meeting up with my friends. And then I look back and I'm glad I did all that stuff, but man, that was some terrible searching I was doing.
Yeah,
I was going definitely in the wrong direction.
Not in the direction you really thought you wanted to go.
No.
And that was me. It took me doing all that, running into another shitty woman, running and doing more stupid shit until I realized I was like, you know what? I was like, yo, let me go to the gym. I had a lot of anxiety, but I was like, dude, stop fucking talking to these girls. Stop wasting your money. Stop doing stupid shit. Go to the gym and you're going to go there this whole week. And I did it once at Finishers, and I just never stopped going.
Is that where you started kickboxing? Finishers?
Yeah. I went.
What school was it? By Jimmy John's?
It was, well, I went when I was really, really young before I went to college to the first.
I forget where the first one was.
It was definitely more, they were never that far. It was more in Easton, but it was a lot smaller. I went when I was 18, 19.
Because I picked up on them when they were at Jimmy John's, because they were down the road from the cheesesteak spot. And then I just started doing the podcast, and we had Dan on from the cryotherapy.
Oh, yeah.
And then Dan was like, yo, he's like, my buddies do a podcast, and they need a space to interview Eddie Bravo. And that was the first time I met Zach and JM. And then they did the podcast, and then it's so weird looking back on that, because we didn't know each other, and then I was like, hey, you guys should come on the show or something, and then I just started doing the show with them, and then but that was, to me, that was the only other professional podcast at the time.
Yeah,
because they were doing it in the basement, they were doing the full, they were doing the full production, they were having guests on, they were just, I loved that show, man. They just talk shit on everybody. It was so awesome.
Yeah.
They literally just talk shit on everybody.
Oh,
and I think I remember talking to them about it. And I'm like, yo, that show rules. I knew nothing about jiu-jitsu, but they were just like, yeah, fuck that guy.
And you're like, I like this.
Yeah.
I like that
that's
greediness.
How I roll.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So you started kickboxing over there and then...
Yeah, and I just kept going. Like, I remember I just like, yo, let me commit myself to this for a week. Stop doing shitty shit. And then I just did it for a week. Like, I went every day. And then I was like, yo, I love this. Like, I was like, I really, and that's when I started realizing, I'm like, I don't really want to be a server. I don't really want to go back to school. Like, this is what I want to do. And I just, for maybe 4 or 5 years, I've been with them 5 years now.
How hard was it for you to cut your own out of like making a living and figuring out what you want to do? Like, because I know a lot of people, I know exactly what you're talking about because I did it with the clothing company, and and it took a while until I could kind of just live on my own with it. It was actually not until last year, the year before, but like, what did you kind of look at where you knew that like if you just kept putting the work in, like it would pay off? Because I think that's the hardest part for people, where they look at something and they're like, I want to do that. That's what I want to do. And then you don't realize, I mean, we were talking about it before we started. You don't realize, like, it's motherfucking work.
Yeah.
It is work to fucking do anything that you want to do and make that your life.
Yeah. I think, I remember I was still living, like, through these values that my family wanted. I was like, I should go back to school. And my friend looked at me.
That's hard to break all that shit off, man. It's you feel guilty.
And that's really what it was. I was just like, I should go back to school. And then my friend looked at me. He was like, you don't want to do that. He was like, and he looked at me. He was like, how about this? He goes, do martial arts for 6 months or a year. He's like, and just keep seeing how far you get. And if it doesn't work out, then go back to school. He's like, that's always going to be there.
What great advice.
And I was like, all right. And then every year it's like, I'd be like more a part of the gym. Then every year I'd like, I think maybe 3 or 4 years I was doing kickboxing so much. And then John Blank, he just came up to me. He was like, yo, you want to be the kickboxing coach? And I was like, oh, this shit's working out. And now it's like, now I'm doing privates. Now I'm doing the kickboxing. Now I'm teaching at Bethlehem. Got my purple belt. I'm going to be fighting soon. So it's like everything just kept going and kept going.
It's nice. It's not nice, but like, it's correct when you get in a lane and then you can see the lane and then things progress along the way. And then you're in the correct place. And like, every job I had, I knew I was not going. Like, I remember even when I was like 20 and I knew nothing. I was out of high school, barely graduated. My mom and dad were like, you got to get a job. My dad always worked factory work.
Yeah.
So, and he always told me, don't do it. Like, go find something. And I'm like, oh, no. If it was good enough for you, it's good enough for me. And then I get in there and I'm like, oh, this is why I said it. This sucks. He was like just trying to give me better advice. Like, yo, go get a better job than this. But I built my values off of my work. But I remember being at Martin Guitar and I was like, having fun and, they had these options. And then I got like my first raise and they're like, here's 10 cents. And I'm like, cool.
You're like,
well, I thought I'd get $1.
Yeah,
They're like, no, we don't give dollars out. And then like, I was like talking to people who had been there and I'm like, oh, how long have you been here? And they're like 12 years. And I'm like, how much longer do you have to work? And they're like 12 more. And I'm just like, that's so long. I'm like, you can't figure out anything else to do with your life.
Yeah.
And that's like, I'm not saying it's wrong to stay at a factory or it's a bad job to be at Martin Guitar. I just knew it wasn't for me. And when I say it wasn't for me, it means that like I literally had like 100 fucking jobs. And the only way I'm happy and not fucking depressed is doing this.
Yeah.
And then like when I started realizing that like all that stuff started changing, where like my depression came out, and then like that was like, especially like when I left the post office, and I always tell the story, but when I left the post office, man, like my parents were like really fucking disappointed. Because that was like that's like a real job. It's not a fun job at all, and it's all bullshit once you get in there. And like it's all traps and things where like you got to stay there forever, and like I could do a whole podcast on how terrible the post office is. People make a great living at it, but I couldn't do this and that, and I had pushed the radio show too far, so I was like, I can't be like, oh, I'm just gonna work at the post office now. If I would have gotten into the post office when I was like 18, I'd be fucking set. So like, when I started realizing like that shit didn't matter and it was okay for other people to be disappointed in me because I just wanted to be happy.
Yeah.
Now where I'm at now, it's like my parents fully back me. They think it's great. They're proud to tell like their friends that I built this business and I'm selling food and doing all this shit. But like, it took me going against everything they fucking told me to get there. So it's like, it's like, it's hard because you're not supposed to go do that. My parents didn't own businesses. I was never brought up. If I ever had kids, I would raise them to own their own business.
Yeah.
And then they probably wouldn't. But like, but like my parents never had their own thing. So like, it was so foreign for them, for me to be like, and especially stupid shit where I'm like, I'm running a clothing company. It wasn't like I'm starting a lawn business. Or like something that's normal. So like everything I tried to do was so outlandish, but it's working now. But to have to go against the grain of what they said, that was not easy, man. It's sleepless nights, and I love my parents. I care about their opinion, but I had to go against everything everybody told me, except for like-minded people. When you talk to Zach and business people, or when we used to do the podcast and shit, we'd always talk about business afterwards, and the three of us, and then like that's when I started realizing that when they say you have to surround yourself with like-minded people, you literally do. I think that's what makes the school special for you guys, is because everybody over there is like-minded to be there for. They're all there. Everyone's on their own journey.
Yes, it's that whole school is just like everyone I've met, like guys like Mike Henninger. Just all self-improvement.
Yes.
Everyone, like, you get there and it's like, even if they all have different views on things, it's like the main thing is like they want to improve themselves. And they're okay, like, even if what you believe is different, they're like, we want to see Ardis improve in what he's good at or what he believes. And they're going to push you towards that. Zach, every time you talk to Zach, he's always like, yo, you could do this. Even if you're like, oh, Zach, I want to do this. He's like, you could do it bigger. And he doesn't believe in just settling. And it's like, he definitely passes that on to people, like, don't settle for the lessest version of yourself.
Everyone I met there always has their own journey. Like, even going in and talking to Jimbo today, and like his whole goal is to just do it. Like, just to do jiu-jitsu and like open up a school and like do all this stuff. And I'm like, man, everybody I talk to here is so goal oriented. And then that's like massive to have around you. So what was it like breaking all that stigmatism away and not serving anymore, and and then having to build your own in the school and kickboxing and that? Like, how hard was that for you to go against what everyone's telling you to go get a job, or you should have stayed in school, and you know what I mean? Like shit that like people don't realize how much it fucks with your head. You know what I mean? Like, there's been some shit people told me that like I still hold on to this day, where I was like, if I would have listened to you, I wouldn't even be fucking here.
I wouldn't even be here. It was. Like, at first, like you said, it's like everything that your parents are showing you, well, like mainly my grandparents and like all your family, like it's hard to go against what you feel like is right inside, So it's like you're fighting that. But then as I started getting away from it more and I started defining myself through my own values, I was like looking, and honestly, the way I look at it is like, my family was just too afraid to take risk like that. Like they think it's just being safe, but it's like, I just think you're being afraid to do anything. You're afraid of humiliation, but I'm not afraid of humiliation. I'm not afraid if I went into a fight tomorrow and I got knocked out. I'm going to get back up. I'm going to try it again. But they never really taught that. I didn't really have a dad either to really teach that. So it's like, I learned that from wrestling. Like, there's nothing to be afraid of like losing and getting back up. There's always going to be the person from the fucking sidelines who's just going to say, like, look at that pussy. But it's like the same person that doesn't take any risk. They don't. They never will understand what it's like to put your all into something and lose. You know? Because they don't even put their all in when they want to win something. So it's like I'm really at the point just now, like, this is years and years just now, where I'm, like, really comfortable with myself. Like, with my values and, like, with what I believe, with what I want to do. And I feel like something that I'm learning is, like, the more you push towards what you want, and the people see that you're not in a bad spot and they see you working, that's when you start getting that acceptance from them. Even though you never needed it, but it's just like, it starts being like, oh, Ardis is happy doing this. He's more at peace. Oh, he is making money. Oh, Ardis, good job. But it's like, why didn't you fucking give that to begin with? Like, what the fuck?
No, it's funny you brought that up about being comfortable in it, because it's like I'm still trying to navigate what it's like being a business owner and just doing that. So like the first year I was so scared, where I was like calling my other business owner friends and I'm like, I don't know what to do. What should I be doing with my time? Well, oh my God. Oh my God. Where it's like I talk to Zach every day now, and we just kind of go over like the podcast stuff and like what we're doing, and we kick ideas back and forth and just check on each other on like where we're at in the day, and like, and then it's like, when in the very beginning, it's like I didn't know what the fuck I was doing at all. Where now it's like I'm finally, like, the other day I realized that, like, because I used to wake up and then be like, okay, I need to get up at 6 a.m. and I need to exercise, then I need to go, and then I need to, and then I need to have a list of my things. I'm a list person, then I need my list. And then it's like, I had to have these things that I had to get done every day. And then like, the more and more I kept starting to watch what I was doing and realizing what I was doing is I'm never going to let myself lose. Yeah. Like I'm never going to get to the point where like I'm like I have no money in the bank. What the fuck am I doing? Yeah. Like, and then I was like, dude, you never gave up and you let yourself get here. Like take a deep breath and realize that you're here because of what you're doing. Yeah. And then when I started kind of looking at it differently like that, now like if I like yesterday, it's like we did a test kitchen in the morning and we'd got all of our pizza and bagel stuff set, and then I was like, you need to go for a fucking hike because you just ate fucking pizzas for breakfast. So then I went for a hike, and then it's like I'm working the whole time because I go on the hike with my partner, who's Gina, who does the business stuff with me. So we're doing all the stuff and we're planning for the bagel drop. And then like I need to like it took a while for me to realize that like I want my life to be my work. Yeah. Because like when I come out of my work and like I got to go do other shit, I'm not happy. Yeah. And then I'm like, oh, I'm just going to keep working. Yeah, and then now my work has made me happy. So like yesterday, then like I got back to the studio and I'm exhausted. And I'm like, I got all these sweatshirts I got to organize. And I'm like, fuck, man. I'm like, you need a break. Like just sit the fuck down, man. And then like now it's like where I'm actually seeing like what is the beginning steps of me actually being Michael, the business owner who runs Never Again and is proud of talking about it in a year from now. Yeah. But it's like, it's very weird to go through that. When you pointed it out, we're like, I'm still uncomfortable with being a business owner. And like, there's sometimes where like, I'll be playing a video game and be like, you need to get back to work. And I'm like, no, you don't. No. Like all you do is work, motherfucker. Like there isn't, you know what I mean? Like it's very difficult to even express, but like being a business owner and relying on yourself for all that, like it's not fucking easy, but it's way better than working for some fucking asshole or somebody who doesn't have a vision. Like, or like somebody when you give them an idea and then they want it to be theirs, so then they don't ever listen to anything you say. And like, dude, I've had a million fucking jobs, and I always think about the fastest way to do things, an easier way for the worker, and it's always just like, no, that's not how we do things. Like first, perfect example, the post office. They gave us like MapQuest directions that they printed out 20 fucking years ago that you can't even read. And I'm like, yo, why wouldn't you have like a GPS system on your phone that would tell me term by term where my route is? And then you could have anybody do this, because like the hardest thing about the post office was like they would just be like, okay, cool, go deliver the mail, and then they give you directions, and then you would have to just figure your own way out. Yeah. And like that's where, dude, I've never worked under more pressure than the post office, because they're like, be back here by this time, and then you're lost, because I don't live in Northampton, so then I'm just like looking around like, what the fuck are we gonna do? So then I took my mountain bike app, because they basically put you in a car seat in the back of that metal container that you can't see out of, and then you ride along with somebody for 2 weeks, and then now you're supposed to know the route, but you can't see out of the back.
Fucking see out. Yeah.
So I had a mountain biking app, and I saved the route, and then at least I had a general direction. And I'm like, hey, you guys should like look into getting something so that when you have these people covering shifts, or when you have somebody doing something, like I can at least share this route with them, so they have a little bit of direction. Yeah. And they're just like, no, we're not, like, just get back to work. They're like, what are you talking about? Dude, it was terrible. And then you would have people that would listen to you, but they've only been there temporarily. I don't know, man. You really struck a chord when you talked about like just the uncomfortableness of still coming into yourself. So like, what did you do to start structuring like this as being your life?
I think that's a good question. I really just started, what I started realizing is, if I never prioritize myself or prioritize things I want to do, they're never going to come up. Yeah. So I always, before I would be like, the fighting would be there. I just got to wait. And then some other bullshit. Then my car. Then, but let me serve to pay off this credit. And then I was just like, dude, just fucking what do you want to do? All right, I want to be better at mental health. I want to prioritize fighting. I want to prioritize teaching kickboxing. All right, so put those on your list. And that's what I just started doing, prioritizing. Doing all those things, and I feel like that's what's helping me go forward. Like I wake up, now I have a goal of like, all right, I want to do this. I got to teach this private. I got to be here. Then I got to train. I got to lose maybe this amount of weight. And it's like, it's good to have that type of structure. But yeah, really just, I think a lot of people don't, there's too many people that, like the average person, you talk to them and it's like, oh, that's going to come up. It's like, it's never going to come up. No. You're going to be 50 years old and you're going to be like, why didn't I do that podcast? You're waiting for this special moment to like become yourself. But the reality is, when you're doing these things, you are becoming yourself.
Yeah.
When you're uncomfortable, or when you fuck up on the business, when you go, oh my God, that fucking mic is terrible. I gotta throw that whole podcast away. Or when I go out there, I might get fucked up. It's like, that is a moment that teaches you to be yourself.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, when I started doing the food, like I mean, Zach and JM were the first ones to hear it first, because like we were doing Now We Go, and I'm like, I just want to do food. I want to do food. I always talked to them about doing food, because we always brought up Horns, because JM worked there, and he was pissed because they shut the place down when he was going to learn how to cook. So like, you know, and then when I did Finishers, like it was such an overwhelming acceptance of like the food, and everyone was like, yo, this is fucking awesome. And then people were coming up to me and they're like, yo man, they're like, we like the podcast and we like everything else you're doing. And then like I was like, dude, why did you wait to do this? Like this should have been done fucking a couple years ago. You should have been doing this shit already. And it's like, I know the timing, because like now I try and cut corners on shit where like I know where I have to get to a goal, and I just like, it's almost like you got to cut being a pussy out of yourself, where you're like, yo, you got to get this shit done. Because I'm always like, sometimes I'll be like, oh, I'll handle the tax shit tomorrow, and that's like, no, you got to handle your fucking tax shit now, because this is the shit that you're worried about. And it's like, when you start kind of like prioritizing it, you said it so well, because you're prioritizing the things that you need to get done to make this your life. But then when your work is your life, what you're accomplishing ups your fucking, like I tell everybody, I'm like, I try and like tackle shit really big, because then I go up on a high and then I come down. And then it's like, normally what would happen is I'd go all the way up, then I'd go all the way down, then I'd be depressed for 6 months, then I'd go up, down. But now I know how to like keep the ball up in the air, where I'm like, yo, if you keep accomplishing shit, that meter goes up here, and then you come down a little bit, and we go back up. So now all I pay attention to, you keep getting shit done. You keep furthering your life and getting into this thing that's very difficult to live on your own and make your own money and do all this crazy shit, but then it also just keeps going. So like, if I juggle these two of moving forward, going up, moving forward, going up, and I focus on that, and I prioritize the things that I want to get done on a daily basis, you can move fucking mountains. And that's the shit that nobody realizes, because their priorities are out of whack, because they just give a shit about, you know, oh, I got to get to lunch. Because I fucking, and I'm only saying this because I've fucking done it. So like,
me too.
You go into work, oh man, I can't wait for the first cigarette break. And then you're just looking at the clock, and then it's lunchtime. All right, cool. Lunch is over. I came in at 5:45, so I only got an hour of work left, and then I leave work. What are we going to do? I'm so happy I'm out of work. I'm just going to go to the bar and get fucked up.
Get fucked up.
And then it's like, you know, I remember coming home. My mom's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, yeah, I'm 21 now. I'm going to, like, I remember I passed out in the hammock in the backyard, because we used to always go to this place, the ranch house. And believe me, I had a fucking blast. We'd drive over there, get shit house. I'd make it home with one eye open on back roads, and then I'd pass out in the hammock while the sun was setting. But like, you know what I mean? But like, that's not what I wanted to do with my life. I was fucking creatively frustrated. I was bored. The task they gave me at work, I've already mastered. And like, now I've mastered sanding a guitar, and now you want me to do this for 10 fucking years. Like, I'm good. Like, all right, cool. Now I'm going to try and do this many a day. And then it's like, now it's like I'm challenging myself and getting yelled at because I'm outworking others. And then it's like, now you're giving me shit because I don't, like, I gotta, because I'm working too fucking hard. And that was my problem. Everywhere I went, I just wanted to work hard. I just wanted, then when I put that into myself, and then now my self-worth is just working fucking hard, dude, that changes everything. And I think that's the hardest part for people to wrap their head around is, and as stupid as it sounds, is like, you can literally accomplish anything you set out to do. If you prioritize, you figure it out, you plan it, and you move it in motion, you can fucking do anything.
I like what you said with just, you notice you can just tell with so many people, like, they don't put the work into themselves. It's always, well, if I do this, my boss is gonna like me more and I'll feel better. Or if I do this, my boyfriend will stay, or
like how that situation with you, where it's like, oh, well, you need to do this a little bit better. It's never gonna be okay. It's always a little bit better.
A little bit more. And
it's a tactic to keep you in control of, like, you know what I mean? Like, they don't want you to progress there.
No, they don't want you to know you can do better. So it's always like the ceiling like, is like the highest ceiling. But then when you take a step back, I look over and go, what the fuck was I doing? Serving a Yingling, serving chicken wings. I had the same personality. I mastered it easily. I already know how to talk to people. It's easy. So what? I'm just bringing food over and making them laugh. And you want me to do more? I'm not going to suck their dick. I'm not going to go crazier than that. So it's like, once you start putting that energy into yourself, you definitely notice a big difference. But the reality, like me and you were talking about before this, it's not easy.
No.
And people they want a formula they drink. And they're like, I'm better. It's like, no, dude, there's days where I wake up and I go, I don't want to do this. This is hard. I don't want to keep improving. But it's like, do I want to keep improving and it's hard work, or do I want to go back to being that other artist?
Yeah.
The depressed, miserable artist.
What's crazy is like it kind of runs a thin line in my life now where I get up and it's like there's days I don't want to do anything, and then I'm like, or I'll get like a little bit knocked off track, and then I'll just be like, fuck, man, like what am I doing? Like, I don't want to do this. I got all this shit going on, and then I'll accomplish something.
Yeah.
Or like it's the stupidest shit, like a bagel, and I'll be like, those bagels are so fucking close to being fucking perfect, but like, we'll go do a test bagel, and then I'll eat that, and in that moment I'm like, oh, all right, and then like that brings it back up, and then it's like, I can't wait for a year from now where like I have all of this managed correctly, and I know what to do in every single situation in order to get through a year without being fucked in the head all goddamn. Because I mean, I used to get depressed for like 6 months, especially if you throw a crazy girl in there. That now we're talking, I got
a year.
2 years of my life just thrown out, my head all fucked up.
Yeah.
Where like now it's like, I know where to make these moves. I know what not to do. It's like, and then I think some people, they're like, yo, you're killing it right now. And I'm like, yo, I didn't kill it for fucking 15 years. And that's the only reason I know what to do now. I'm sure it's the same way. It's like, I'm learning by just doing the privates, but it's just like, you don't get anywhere in jiu-jitsu by just fucking going once. You know what I mean? Like, you learn from fucking up and doing shit wrong. Like, Jimbo was like, we did like repetitions in this one drill. And I was like, okay. And then like, I thought it was good, and then we did it like 5 more times, and then by the 5th time I was doing it correctly, and I was like, dude, I'm like, you need to start looking at this totally different if you want to take this seriously, where you need to start looking at this where you look at your life and like, you got to put the fucking work in, man. I'm like, I'm fucking fat, I'm exhausted, but that's why when you push me all the time in fucking kickboxing,
we go crazy.
But you'd always yell at the end, and I'd be ready to fucking die, and you're like, yo, you fucking did it. But if you wouldn't have put the gas pedal on me, I wouldn't have done it. I would have been hanging out right here, and I could have just been right here every day, and then it would have been a waste of fucking time, because in 5 fucking years,
you've been the same spot.
I would have been, or even if I just moved a little bit, it would have taken twice the amount of fucking time. There's a lot of cool stuff learning about being on your own and kind of like moving shit forward and whatnot. Where are you at now with everything as far as like, because when you got into it, there was more options to compete, correct?
When I first got into it?
Yeah, like with doing kickboxing and shit. Is it harder now to get fights and things like that with the way the commission and everything is?
No, it's not. I mean, the COVID, I guess, it's not really. It's right now, I really feel like with what Jam and Zach have built, I feel like there's more options to compete and I have more connections to be competing. So I feel pretty good. I mean, maybe a few COVID protocols, but it's not really getting in the way of anything. There's still kickboxing matches going. There's still MMA going on. Until something completely shuts down, they're still doing that. So I feel pretty good about all that.
What are your plans on moving forward with everything?
With just like MMA and stuff?
Yeah. Well, how long have you been at the school?
Yeah, about 5 years.
5 years now?
So pretty much like when I was there, I was still like, it wasn't until COVID 2 years ago where I was working and still going to the school. So I'd fucking go in there, my feet are aching, but I'm like, dude, I gotta kickbox though. Like, I'm not going home. I don't care if I'm tired.
Yeah, you're on your feet all day like that.
Oh my God. Yeah. And then your feet are killing, you're pivoting, turning. You're like, oh my God, I'm going to die. But now, like, only just from COVID, I finally just started doing this full time. Look, I have such a loving mom that like she lets me live with her, so I don't have to worry about paying anything crazy.
I stopped caring about that years ago.
Yeah.
And then what's funny is like I always beat myself up about living with my mom and dad, and then now I'm so glad I did it. I have I have 3 brothers. I have such a different relationship with my parents because I stayed home.
Yeah.
And then like they let me stay there so I could pursue it, and I set up like in a little apartment in the basement, and then I gave up my apartment to go after the podcast, and if I wouldn't have done that and they wouldn't have let me come home,
exactly,
I wouldn't be here talking to you.
Yeah.
So like but then I also realized after I stopped giving a fuck when people were like, oh, you live at home.
Yeah.
It's just like something where like when I was in my early to mid 30s is like where even your friends they don't even have to say it, but them getting houses and moving on with their lives, it was a lot to swallow. And then like I look back on it now, and I have such a rad relationship with my parents where we talk all the time. My mom's fucking telling me what shows to watch on Netflix. Like she has relationships with my brothers, but not like that.
Yeah.
And then you know, I see my parents almost every Sunday. Like my brothers only get to do that every once in a blue moon. So it's like one of my favorite things is that I moved back home.
Yeah.
Because you don't, like, I love my parents, but I might not have had that relationship I have with them now, where I would have been so obsessed with this and time would have went on, and then I would have regretted not fucking ever having a relationship with them. So when people tell me they live at home, I was like, do it. There's so much more opportunity taking a time to spend more time with a loved one than there is to fucking be broke, sitting in an apartment alone, depressed because you don't got any fucking money and your bills are late and you're trying to do the impossible. And it's like, I think it's awesome that you're at home. That's the first fucking move to make, is to move the fuck home, save money, and then start figuring out a fucking plan.
Yeah. And my mom's the best at just letting me, like, just with like my mom will look at me and she's never been like, oh, you're just doing that MMA stuff. Every time I'm going out, she's like, oh, you teach kickboxing? Oh, okay. Oh, you might have a fight. Just don't tell me, because she can't. She doesn't want to see that. Yeah. But she supports me fully.
That's awesome
with it.
support
she loves
too.
It. Yeah, and she's really been like one of the most supportive people ever. Oh, and all my close friends, like none of them. I'm happy. Something we were saying earlier, like you want to surround yourself with people that are like minded, and none of my friends are like, man, you're still living at home. You're still pursuing that. All my friends. When I talk to my friends, they make more money than me, and they're like, dude, I wish I could do what you do. You wake up, you teach people for a living. You're gonna fight soon. You're pursuing like what you want to do. You talk about mental health. They're like, dude, I just fucking work for this asshole. I don't like this dude. He's like, and a lot of them, they live on their own. They have girlfriends. They make money.
But it goes back to what you were saying, where it's like you know, this structure of like what you're supposed to do. Yeah. And then like I have my, you know, I'll run into people and they'll be like, yo man, like you're living it up, and I'm just like, my money's tight, but I've never been happier in my entire life. This is the least amount of money I've ever made, and it's the happiest I've ever been. My depression is pretty much gone at this point. I'm learning so much more about myself. And then, you know, when it comes down to like, you know, what, you know, we were talking about it before of like what I sacrificed with like my living situation and everything. And it's changed me as a whole, where like, you know what I mean? Like money is cool, but it is not a priority for me at all. And like when I took that out of the way, then like I just started focusing on what would actually make me happy. And I think a lot of times people they don't get to go on that journey because they're too worried about, oh, well, I got to pay my fucking mortgage. And oh, well, the heat bill's coming up. And it's like, you know, when you put yourself in a situation to live a way that you're not supposed to be living in a healthier fashion, it's really wiped all these things out that I thought that like I needed. And like, you know, like when I first started getting apartments, I would always think I needed all this space and it was big and all that. And like now with moving the studio and everything, it's like we're downsizing, and I'm like, all right, cool. Like I can save money on that. Then cool. That money can go into savings. And like, I'm not chasing after like these things that I thought I needed a house. Oh, I should have a house.
I should have a house by
and then all my friends who have houses fucking hate it. They're fucking, I hate my mortgage. Like you gotta fix everything all the time. Then they're bitching at winter because I gotta get oil. And I'm like, I don't know. Like it's really changed how I look at life. And then like, you know, like you go after the goals and you accomplish them, and then you go after these things, and the more sacrifices you make, it makes you a simpler, more at peace person. And like, because I know people that are like just, you know, chasing after the house, chasing after all this shit, and especially younger friends I have, and I'm just like, man, like I'm so glad I didn't do that. I'm glad I'm not stuck. I am so free in a fashion, like you can have all the money you want. Like I am a free person. I can do whatever the fuck I want. Me and you are both sitting here because we can do whatever the fuck we want today. I can leave here and go do whatever I want. And to me, that is worth way more than money. 100%. Way more than sitting in a fucking office or sitting somewhere and just doing the bare minimum and just counting your fucking days.
And just waiting for that. And there's so many people that are like that.
I work on weekends now and I don't care.
You're like, cool, I can't wait for the weekend.
Like Sundays I don't do anything. Sundays I shut down. I fucking sit over there. I'll play video games unless it's something that like I'll go to dinner with somebody. But like for the most part, Sunday's my day to just not do anything. But every other day, it's like, you know, like I have people picking up sweatshirts, and then the rest of my night's free. But because my night is free and it is mine, I get to choose what to do. So tonight I'm like, all right, I got to do a work order and I'm going to get organized. I have, you know, a meeting that I got to do. But because I created my own freedom, I work harder than I ever have in my entire life. Now, if you locked me in a fucking shed and told me I had to cook all fucking day, and then I was just sitting around, I'm like, oh man, I'm never going to make enough money to have a house. I'm never going to make enough money to do this. Who's going to be with me if I'm just this guy doing these things? And then it's like, then you just start fucking just attacking yourself mentally, and then you just get stuck.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing, and I'm sure you're seeing it with doing your own thing, is like how much fucking, it was almost like I just opened this fucking door and was like, I've had enough. I don't want this shit around me anymore. You fucking people, not tell me what to do. I don't need you to fucking do this. I'm not a moron. I'm gonna do my own goddamn thing, and I want to be fucking free doing it.
Yeah. you have to burst through that door. But it is like that. It does feel like that. It's like that moment where it's like something happens and you go, dude, I'm fucking done. Like
done.
Honestly, even though this is gonna sound terrible. Obviously, not the deaths, but COVID was one of the best things that ever happened to me, because once I had the break from the job, they're like, you have to come in. And I was like, all right, I literally was so panicked. Like going to the job, I was starting to get pissed off. I've got my own mental health issues. It was like super hard to deal with. I remember I was like, all right, Ardis, take a week off, see if you want to go back. It was the first day. I woke up and I was like, I never want to go back to working a job.
I think that's a lot of the problem with the food industry going on right now, is that people who are depending on that job, and then other jobs opened up where, like, if you pay attention to what's going on right now, you can get a fucking career at you know what I mean? Like, I remember seeing, like, Victaulic had fucking signs. I applied for Victaulic like 25 fucking times in my 20s.
Holy shit,
but they have careers now available. So it's like, I think there's some people who are serving and cooking, and they're just doing it to get by, and they got their own bullshit going on. And then when you take a break from all that stress, who the fuck wants to go back to that?
No, that's what I did. I took that break, and I was like, whoa, I feel so much better. I'm around my family.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I would rather, just like you, I would rather be like not knowing, like working to get my own money, and it's not maybe a lot of money to be like thriving per se, but it's like I'm doing everything I want to do every day.
Yeah, and then when you look at what you really need monetarily,
it's not as much.
No,
it's not as much. But it's, you know what I think it is? I think something me and you went through both. It's like, it's that thing with men that you have to be this type of level of success. Where is your hot girlfriend? Where is your wife? Where is the car that you should be driving? Why aren't you working this? Why aren't you look like this? Why you're not tall? You got to be doing this. And then like you live in that, and then you have, you know, your older generation of men saying that, oh, why aren't you doing this? You want to do a podcast, but you should be working at this. Where's your car? And you start feeling like that's what you should be as a man.
Yeah.
You start feeling like, oh, this is what a man is, a tall guy, a dude with the hottest women, and you live off that. And then once you break away from those men and you kind of separate, you actually look at some of them, you're like, you're not even happy. You have this wife, you cheat on her. You don't like your job. You're super toxic to your kids.
You hate your house.
But like, why? There's so many men that will try to push that on other men.
It was
like
hard.
They're miserable.
It was hard having three brothers. You know, my brother was an engineer and went to Penn State and graduated with honors. And then, you know, my other brother, Richard, we were 11 months apart. And then there was a time when he stopped fucking off and I did not. And I just went over here and kept fucking off, and he got his shit together. And he got into a really fucking awesome job that he still has. My younger brother went to trade school and became a union plumber and was like the apprentice of the year. Like he got like the highest level of like apprenticeship. And like, so when he got out of that apprenticeship, like he wasn't working the jobs, he was running the jobs, and like, so that's like his career. Jeez. And I didn't have anything going on. I was just getting drunk. And then I was just trying to figure out life, and then like I was just working shitty jobs, and it was always embarrassing, and like you know what I mean. And then I surrounded myself with shitty people, and always had like, you know, I loved my girlfriends, but they were just as fucked up as I was. So it's like, you know, and then it's like, you know, they're bringing around normal girls, and I'm just like, here's the fucking witch from The Craft. So like it never worked out. And then like, you know, now with being older and even like taking a break from dating, and like even the same thing, you push the idea idea about what's supposed to be around you. Now I know what I want because I got what I wanted out of my life, which I didn't fucking know because I was all fucked up on drugs and alcohol and lost, daydreaming and doing whatever. But like, I never gave up, and now I accomplished this, and like now there's so much more to go. But like, at least I can make my own decisions and think now. And then, but that was because I stopped allowing other people to tell me what to fucking do. And I was just always the person who, and I'm not saying that like my brothers allowed other people to tell them what to do. Like my point was like I could never listen to people about shit like that. And I was and then like when I kind of cut my own shit out, I was like, oh, you're totally different than all of them. All of them. And then I'm just like, you're just, but I never, like, it's funny because like, you never look at like when people are like, oh, it takes a special kind of person. And then you don't understand what that means until I'm running my own business and my brothers aren't. But like, it's okay that they're not. But I'm the type of person that should be running their own business. But when you're that person, you don't realize it and be like, you know what I'm going to do is open up a bakery. It's not handed to you. So all I kept looking at is I was doing shit wrong. You're doing it wrong than them. Everything's wrong. And I never had anybody be like, well, it's not wrong, Michael. You're just on a different path. And you know, maybe when I got into therapy, shit started being laid out a little bit differently, and I started like, you know, I don't know. There was a lot of guilt and a lot of like, man, like I'm not supposed to be doing this. That was like the hardest thing to swallow. And then it's like what you said. It's like then everybody who told me I was doing it wrong, now they're like, can't wait to get a burger. And I'm like, what the fuck, man?
You're like. It's like you're a fuck up. Anyways, you want to get drunk? It's No, I don't. Not with you.
Now it's like, yeah, man. It's like, you know, when are you doing something in town? And I'm just like, man, the town, you know, it's hard to fucking explain, but it was like there was a lot of people who fucking doubted everything I did and still doubt me. And I just laugh now. I'm like, you know, you're doubting me. And then I see your social media. I'm like, you have no clue what the fuck you're doing, dude.
Yeah, at all.
You have no clue what the fuck you're doing. And then I said to my one buddy, I'm like, man, I can't wait till they're in my rear view. And he's like, Mike, they've been in your rear view for fucking 5 years.
Yeah.
You're just saying you haven't paid attention to it.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself going in the next couple of years? What do you got coming down the pipe? You fighting soon, or
I'm
picking up classes, or like, you know, with teaching, or like
fighting
where you
soon.
at?
Fighting soon. Next year, my goal is to just fight amateur. I'm probably gonna fight an amateur MMA bout by the end of this year.
How many do you have to get before you go pro?
I believe 3, 4. So I'm just going to do as many as my coach says, like, hey, we're ready for that next level. I feel super confident. I'm going to do that, go pro. Man, but my goal is probably next 2-3 years, open up a business, do pro MMA, do both of those. But I've always just wanted to open up a school, have, you know, helping kids. That's what I've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
So,
well, when you say business, do you want to open up like a kickboxing school or another finishers, or what do you want to do?
I mean, if it's under Thor, I'd open up one under Thor. But if not, like, I don't want to ever do something in the Valley that's like close to them that takes away business from them.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't like that idea.
You'd have to go out further.
Yeah. I you know, even if I just moved to Philly, somewhere where it's like I'm not in competition with Thor or Jam or Zach. But I would love to own a business and fight pro MMA. That's my goal, really, pretty much. Simple man, you know what I mean?
But there's so much you can do with that. Like there's, you know what I mean? Like it sounds simple, but when you said it to me, I was like, oh, there's so much meat on that bone where he would never not be, you know what I mean? You would constantly be busy. You would constantly be able to keep working. You're constantly going to be able to do kickboxing.
Yeah.
You're constantly going to be able to compete. And then when you reach a point of age and time where you have to take a break from that, now you're just teaching more, and then you can kind of move it around a little bit. It's smart. I mean, I meet so many different people, and a lot of them are like-minded like yourself, and I kind of see where like you need to have like a constant motion. So you almost need like, you know, say there's like 4 parts to it. So, well, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this, and I'll do this. And then when you spin it, you get to do all those things. And then you're paying attention. Like that's how I am. I need complete chaos in order to like if somebody was like, you have one task to do and that's all you got to do, I'll just be like, what? What do you mean?
That's how you were when we were doing our privates.
Yeah.
The simple shit, you'd be like, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. And I'm like, all right, here's this real complicated move where you're not going to get that. It's all right if you don't get it. Then you'd get that, and I'm like, yo, I'd look at you like, how'd you fucking get this kick?
Because he was laughing because he like asked me to do something simple, and then he like asked me to do 2 things in a row, and then I could get that because it was multitask. It was steps to getting somewhere, but just one step is always just like what?
You're like, what? One step?
Because you'd like yell at me, like, dude, you're like, I'm just asking you to kick over here, but then you're doing this, and I was like, I don't know if it's dyslexic or how my brain works or what it is, but I mean, I don't look at it anymore as something that's wrong.
No. It's just like you said. It takes a special person to do something.
Yeah.
It fits your chaotic lifestyle.
Yeah.
All this together is because of that.
And then it's like eventually what I'll do is I'll probably peel back some things, because it's like when you turn it into a business, you see what makes money.
Yeah.
So if you're doing 4 chaotic things and only 3 of them make money, then it would just be like, cool, we're just going to do 3 things now. And then I focus on that. But I don't know. I loved having you on here. We're gonna do this again just because we could keep ripping.
We about to end because I gotta give a special shout out, brother.
I'm gonna wrap up, and then I'm gonna give you a chance to plug your social media and your buddy's clothing company and everything.
That's what I'm talking about.
I could have talked to you for another hour if I didn't have somebody picking up. We're gonna do this again.
Oh yeah. Let's do it.
I'll set it up for the end of the month, or we'll do it in December. And we've been wanting to do this for a while.
Yeah.
And I forgot how much we used to talk after and before class. I was like, man, I haven't talked to him in so long. You've been one of my favorite people to meet. The stuff that you did with me with kickboxing, that was just so important to me, because I was always afraid to go into a school, and like it's hard for me, even with doing the privates with Jimbo, like it's hard for me to get in and do that. And that is my goal, is to break that away and just be a part of the school and go into classes. But I also like the privates because I like to ask questions. We hit it off immediately. Yeah. I love how much you pushed me. I love that you could read things with me to where we're going to goals. And then when I met you, I just thought it was so cool that like you do your own thing and you're weird and like anime. But I'm always, I'm weird myself. So it's like, I always enjoy meeting those people. And I think it's awesome that like you've come on this journey and you're working with finishers and you have these goals and you're going after them, and then you're fighting on top of it and competing, which isn't easy to do. And it's been a pleasure to meet you. It's been a pleasure kickboxing under you, and I can't wait to do more of that and become better friends down the road. I'm going to give you a minute to plug your friend's sweatshirt and your social media and how anybody can get a hold of you to do privates.
Hell yeah. Look here.
Yeah, you can look at that one.
Right now, look. So I got my hoodie on. My man, his name's Joel Delon. If you want to see where he makes all his stuff, Successful Mistake, you can find that on Instagram. Super sick. I had to do this because too many people from California were shouting him out, but he's my man's. That's my brother. Successful Mistake. He got the freshest gear. Someone else I got to shout out, Jamie and Bryant. They got a podcast coming out. Well, it's out. Primer Warrior. Please look into it. They one of my closest friends, best teammates. Alpha Pack all day. If you want to find me for my privates, my Instagram's Martial Artist 610. Super easy. It's my name, Marshall in front of it. I made that in the MySpace days. Hit me up. That's it.
Cool. If you're a first-time listener, first-time watcher, first time ever on anything on this platform, it's neveragainstudio.com. That has our YouTube, Spotify. If you go on Spotify, I push Spotify. It's the easiest. I use Spotify all the time. So if you go on Spotify and type in Never Again Studio, you'll see our logo and you can follow it along. YouTube, I'm trying to build the YouTube out, so subscribe to the YouTube channel. The YouTube is where you can see all the videos that we have done. There's some stuff down there. I think there's like promos and stuff. There's more stuff coming to that channel because we're going to be doing the cooking show and everything else. And that's it. Oh, and ammo. If you need ammo, it's nazoammo.com. I know I have a ton of 9mm, but if you contact me, I can kind of go over what else we have. So it's Never Again Studio, nazoammo.com. Hit this guy up for privates. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
That was so good. It was just like a...
Never Again Radio. Get into it, brother.